All right, excited to jump in here. We're going to be talking about beyond automation, how AI agents are becoming pretty freaking reliable in the world of CX. To do that, we brought on Michael from Siena. Michael, thanks for joining. How are you?
I am fantastic. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man,
Pleasure
excited.
to be here. Yeah.
Yeah, excited to jump into the topic. You guys, I think, are making a name for yourself in the space. Some cool things going over there at Siena. So maybe before we dive in, tell us a little bit about yourself, some of the cool things you guys are doing over there at Siena.
Sure thing. So thanks for having me again, Gabe. My name's Michael, Director of Partnerships over here at Siena. Siena is the intelligence platform for brands like Allbirds and Spanx and Figs. We really serve that upper mid-market enterprise segment of the Shopify ecosystem.
Mhm.
We're purpose-built for Shopify. We're purpose-built for e-commerce. And think of this intelligence platform as a suite of agents. Sometimes there can be some confusion in our ecosystem around what AI is. Like there's some confusion around like AI being sort of a chatbot. And I know that a lot of brands have had sort of some traumatic experiences, using some of the legacy chatbots and even some of like the help desk AI solutions that are available in the market. So when we're thinking about Siena, you have to think of Siena as sort of a suite of agents
Mm.
that covers the entire customer lifecycle. And that's indeed the reason why we're so successful in the upper mid-market and enterprise segment of the Shopify ecosystem. It's because we have that full suite across the entire
Mm.
customer lifecycle: sales, shopping, support, voice, reviews, and insights. This is the entire sort of suite. And it's a powerful suite indeed. And we're excited to share a bit more today.
Cool. Cool, man. Yeah, yeah. Sounds fun. And yeah, you guys obviously name has come up multiple times. So kudos. Something's definitely working over there. Wanted to jump into the topic at hand, but one that's a little more this has now been a little bit, but not too long ago. The Black Friday, there was a little bit of a fiasco kind of
Yeah.
over Black Friday, a little bit of a Shopify outage.
Yep.
Um, you guys seem to be able to kind of figure that out, resolve some of that. I'm just curious, was there a moment that you felt like you guys were nervous? You guys were still being able to kind of manage that? There was just some interesting things going on. Give me kind of your quick take on that.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, this was a bit of a watershed moment. This isn't a unique moment, of course. Shopify has had sort of periodic outages, like any
But a
sort of
bad day to
platform.
have it, right?
A
Bad
bad
day,
day to
huh?
have it for sure around BFCM. I mean, the stakes are really high for merchants, and naturally, our merchants, are looking to our platform, Siena, for reliable, like to deliver a reliable customer support experience. And yeah, this was definitely like a watershed moment for a lot of brands. It's a BFCM, really important moments. 50% of of the revenue generated by most brands is actually sort of captured in like that 4 to 6 to 8 week period over BFCM and the months of November and December, sort of that last quarter of the year. So yeah, it was a vulnerable moment. Because it really exposed like a structural vulnerability that most brands don't really think about until it's too late. So when Shopify went down, those teams that were using traditional help desks were completely paralyzed. So they could not, because of the architecture, with the way that the help desk is integrated into Shopify, any sort of like AI solution that is sort of baked into the help desk was rendered sort of obsolete in the moment. They couldn't access their order data. They couldn't process cancellations. They couldn't even see their customer history.
Mm.
That type of CX infrastructure was completely dependent on Shopify being up. Siena, what we discovered in that very specific moment was that because of the architecture of Siena was able to maintain that level of reliability, kept running,
Cool.
because our AI agents have independent access to that core Shopify customer data.
Yeah.
So our merchants weren't locked out. Like our
Cool.
customers weren't locked out. The customers, most importantly, during that sort of BFCM period, the customers of the brands that we serve were still able to get their orders edits processed, their return labels generated, their questions answered, zero downtime. So that's what AI first infrastructure really means. And I think it was, again, like a watershed moment. It really exposed what it means to think through your infrastructure with an AI first lens.
Brilliant.
CX that's completely decoupled from your platform health.
Mm.
Um, your help desk can go down, your e-commerce platform can have an outage, your payment processor can hiccup and have issues.
Yep.
But your customers can still get the answers, can still be served with that high degree of customer service that a lot of brands,
Hmm.
in order to remain competitive today, must deliver on. Your customers can still get their questions answered, can still get the support they need pre-purchase and
Yeah, sure.
post-purchase throughout the entire customer journey. That's what a sort of that's what reliability means to us. That's what holding a really high bar for customer service really means to us, and that's again one of the reasons why those upper mid-market and enterprise brands in the Shopify ecosystem are choosing Siena, because of our fixation on that customer experience and that really like resilience that's baked into the product.
I love it. I love it. Just a quick follow-up on that. How do you navigate the world of, ticketing systems in general? I think there's a lot of confusion
There
with
is.
brands where they obviously a lot of the ticketing solutions have kind of a CRM or the ticketing system. You guys kind of operate on top of that, but some of them have their own chat bots. How valuable you guys don't offer the ticketing system from what I understand, but how do you help companies think through that journey? Do I need a Zendesk plus a Sienna? Is that the best whatever it might be?
Yeah.
How do you navigate that so that companies kind of know where to fit?
It's a great question. It really depends on the stage of maturity that the CX organization is at
Okay.
and the size of the brand. So I'll go through that in two parts. So the size of the brand matters. So in our case, what we're seeing is that a lot of brands who are first exposed to like a help desk AI, um, they have really high expectations of what they can achieve with the help desk AI, but especially in that upper mid market enterprise segment, those workflows are really complex that they want to automate.
Mm.
They have really complex requirements. They have indeed enterprise requirements. In a lot of cases, they need custom integrations. They need a lot of support from the AI solution provider, in this case being Siena, to help them actually understand what type of workflows they want to automate, how they ought to
Mm.
automate. There's a lot of strategy work involved. So for merchants that are just sort of less than 5,000 tickets per month and are kind of getting their feet under them and starting to explore AI, maybe a help desk AI is actually appropriate. If they're looking to just automate the absolute minimum
Yeah.
possible with their help desk, you can achieve that with like simple logic trees and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
sort of like if this then that logic. And there are solutions in the market for that, and that's sort of like solves for a lot of the SMB.
Like a crawl step kinda,
Yeah, it's a
yeah, like
crawl
a base.
step. It's like
Mhm.
it solves for the SMB. Like I think you
Sure.
can get a lot. You can get as far as you need to be with the SMB segment with sort of simple flows.
Got it.
But once you start entering into that upper mid market and enterprise segment, and you have those complex workflows, you have those
Mhm.
enterprise requirements, you have integrations that require being built. You have it's a much more configurable experience inside of Siena, and you need to have all of those things in order
That's
to
helpful.
achieve your
Yeah.
CX goals.
Yep.
You just won't get that with a help desk
That's yeah,
AI.
I love that. Where do you
Yeah.
see you just mentioned the word integration, and sometimes that's a challenge because if these agents can interact with different systems, it would be I think that would help illustrate some of the complex what are some of the top systems that an agent would actually interact with in a more complex flow? Do you mind just floating those out real quick?
Of course, yeah. I mean, we're plugged into all of the, the best in breed third party applications inside of the Shopify ecosystem.
Yeah.
So think Loop Returns and Recharge and Yotpo and Okendo. We have integrations with all of those third party apps. Now, what separates Siena from a help desk AI, for example, is the configurability of that integration. And in these when we talk about complex workflows,
Mm.
they might have multiple steps required in order to complete that ticket or that customer workflow end to end. It
Yep.
may indeed actually require multiple
Mm.
third-party apps in the same sort of resolution. You may need the AI might need to
Yeah,
reach
sure.
into Recharge. It may need to reach into Yotpo. It may need to reach
Mhm,
into
mhm.
Loop Returns. It may need to reach into Shopify, all to complete the same resolution. There are multiple steps, so that's where Siena really sort of leaps ahead
Yeah, that makes sense.
in
That
a
makes sense.
significant way from the help desk
Yeah,
AIs
I
because
think that, yeah, that kinda gives you that because they're really most often just in their own ecosystem, obviously playing around with their own kind of whatever it might be, the tickets that are within their system. So I think that helps
yeah,
illustrate that a little bit.
yeah,
Do you feel like, and sorry, I'm rapid fire. This is
yeah,
always
yeah,
an
yeah.
interesting
Let's get
conversation,
done.
but um, and I want to hit a few others, but just while we're on it, I think one of the challenges people have had is understanding the pricing models of AI. I mean, you guys are in the thick of it, right?
Oh
And
yeah,
they're so used to a seat-based model, and this AI world is, I don't know, outcome usage, tokens.
yeah.
And again, I'm not an expert on your model by any chance, but again, speaking to brands out there, how would you help them think through how they can, actually grab on to these type of agents from a pricing perspective? Why does this new model make sense to them?
Yeah, so the way that we think about pricing is the unit of work that Siena is responsible for
Mm,
is the billable unit. So
okay.
in our case, the way that we bill is based on conversations.
Okay.
Any single time Siena has a conversation with a customer, that is a unit of work. That
Got
is
it.
a unit of effort that Siena has actually been responsible for. And what some other AI vendors do is they bill based on resolutions,
Mm,
and
mhm.
this may on the surface seem appealing to a lot of merchants, but the definition of a resolution is fully open to interpretation, and in a lot of cases it becomes litigated.
Yeah.
So we want to avoid that sort of like that inevitability of like a litigation between the merchant and the vendor over what actually counts as a resolution. Obviously, on the software vendor side, they have an incentive to lower the bar for what actually constitutes a billable resolution.
Yes.
And on the other side, on the merchant side, they have the opposite incentive. So what we want to avoid is that sort of like misunderstanding over what and sort of litigious sort of environment over what represents a resolution. Instead, um, we only bill on the unit of work again, which is the conversation which Sienna is responsible
Fascinating,
for.
fascinating.
Yeah.
So that's kinda how yeah, that's just so much different than the seat-based concept that I
And
think
it is
many
a
people
lot different than
were
the seat-based concept. Yeah, of
used
course.
to from some of these ticketing systems, et cetera.
Yeah.
You guys have kind of, you've talked a little bit about bringing these agents in and how it kinda changes culturally and
Yeah.
operationally for a company. I'm curious how you help make that shift successful. I mean, it's a new tool, a new process, a new agent. It's
Yeah.
new, and there is some change management there. How
Indeed.
have you guys kinda helped companies manage this shift?
Yeah. So what we're seeing is that um, on our side, we have a responsibility, obviously, to be not only what we're seeing is that we're not just a software vendor, like we're really sort of like a change management and consulting
Hmm,
partner inside a lot of these CX orgs. Um, a lot of CX leaders have been given a mandate to, by the C suite, for example, to evaluate AI. But a lot of folks are, and this is frontier technology, we're learning even inside of our own organization how to use AI at the same time that a lot of our merchants and customers are
sure.
thinking about AI. So, of course, we have deeper insight into how this technology works, and of course, how our own product works. So, we're in a sort of privileged position to help our merchants to navigate this
Yep.
change management. And we can, of course, draw on a lot of the experience we have with some of the other merchants that we support in the ways that they've gone through this change management themselves. So
Hmm,
we are equal parts like a technology solution provider, as well as sort of like a consulting.
cool.
There's a consulting layer here as well. We have
There
our own
is,
internal
right?
managed
Yeah.
services offering. We have, of course, our customer success team and our implementation team. All of these folks on our
Mm,
side, we're very heavy on the implementation support and ongoing optimization support. And this is indeed a requirement. You've seen this in a lot of other AI vendors, even outside of e-commerce. We have these things that are coming up. They're called like forward deployed engineers.
yes, yes. Oh,
Um,
yeah. Mhm.
this is sort of this is a bit of a paradigm shift around software and SaaS in particular. It's no longer sort of like a one-stop set it and forget it type of technology.
Absolutely.
With AI, you need to have ongoing QA, you need to have ongoing management. The technology is evolving so quickly. So the way that we work with merchants, the merchants that succeed with solutions like Siena are ones that actually have a dedicated resource, usually inside of their CX organization, that is actually
Mm,
responsible for working alongside of our team to actually deploy the solution
makes tons of
and
sense.
to manage
Yeah.
it on an ongoing basis.
Hmm.
Um, it's also a cultural shift inside of a lot of CX orgs. The brands that succeed with AI really share one thing in common, and it's that they've stopped asking, "Can AI help us?" and started asking, "What should AI own?" And that's an important distinction. That's actually a cultural shift
Yeah.
because it goes from being an AI as an assistant to an AI as a peer with defined responsibilities. And then culturally, we're seeing three things that really stand out as mattering. First is that you have to develop trust, but trust through measurement. So you can't treat AI like a team member if you're micromanaging every decision. So a lot of the merchants on that we work with that have really seen a lot of success measured their AI the same way that they measure a human agent. And then this would of course include CSAT and resolution time and handle time. And then if the numbers actually hold, the AI gets more autonomy. If
Hmm.
they slip, you adjust. It's performance management and not just handholding. You're actually performance managing the AI the same way that you would a human agent. And if that AI proves effective, then you gradually increase their workload, if you will. You introduce
Hmm.
them into more complex
For
workflows.
sure.
Um, Continuous training as a value, like a core value inside of the CX org. This may sound, I've said this already, but I think it's worth repeating, is that the best brands don't just set it and forget it. They actually treat the training as a compounding exercise and as if they're onboarding a new hire.
Yeah.
So they're every week they're testing and feeding the AI edge cases, and every day feeding the edge cases,
Hmm.
refining the tone, expanding the knowledge base. This becomes a core part of the sort of the weekly daily workflow of a CX org. It's
Yep.
not, and most importantly, Gabe, it's not actually just a one-time sort of IT implementation, or like a one-time software implementation. It's not a set it and forget it.
Yeah.
Those that are really succeeding with Siena and products like ours, they're working alongside of our implementation team to continuously train the AI, continuously improve the
Super
AI.
cool.
This is where we're getting into those 80% plus automation rates end to end
I
with
love that.
super high empathy, with really high CSAT scores. The customers are getting everything that they need, and these are the brands that are really differentiated now as well, and are really leading with that, like a world class customer experience. They're the ones that have really embraced continuous training as a value, and
Yep.
they're measuring the AI continuously and treating it like a teammate.
I love it. I love it, man. Super fun talk track. Wish I could bug you more. I know we got to get back to our day jobs here, but um, space is moving super fast. Maybe just last question here.
Yeah.
CX, e-commerce, a lot of people are trying to figure out where to start, where to go. What are maybe a couple of the workflows or systems that people should start with as they start their kind of AI journey?
It's a great question. Actually, it sort of is it's a great segue from the previous question. I think a lot of brands naturally have some reluctance to sort of jump head in
Yeah.
to AI. I mean, it's again a frontier technology. There's a lot to learn, and there's a lot of sort of like risk involved in embracing a new technology. Indeed, actually, there's some career risk, even especially in some of the larger organizations that we work with. For a CX leaders to sort of take this on at this level, you have to have a lot of conviction in the initiative. And we're of course there to support them along that journey. The way that we work with our merchants to sort of crawl, walk, run, if you will, if that's the strategy, is to start off with a couple of workflows, and then gradually increase the
Hmm.
sophistication or complexity of the workflows that the AI is actually handling. So again, it's not about actually, how do we set up the AI? It's like what should the AI actually be responsible for, and gradually increase the workload of the AI. So workflow number one that we always recommend is, Wismo and order status inquiries.
Yeah.
So this is the highest volume and lowest complexity. So
Yeah.
this actually represents about 40 to 60% of most brands' ticket volume. And those are the ones that can be automated quite easily. You get immediate ROI because you see your cost per ticket drop and the team capacity frees up within like,
No time.
14 days.
Yep.
And really, most importantly, it actually builds confidence because this is actually the trust building phase because your
Yeah.
team, your human agents will actually see the AI work reliably. The customers are also trusting the AI because they're getting instant answers, and leadership especially sees the numbers move. So what good looks like in this case is that the AI handles 80% of those tickets autonomously. This is sort of like, the gold standard. Response time drops to under 60 seconds, and the CSAT stays above 4.5 out of 5 because
Yep.
customers are getting those answers really quickly. So that's the first workflow. The second workflow, and the reason why it's second, is returns and exchanges. So this is a high friction, high volume type of ticket. And this is actually where brands lose customers. So the experience is typically like really clunky. It's slow. It's super frustrating. This is also a workflow, an AI workflow that it doesn't require a lot of like judgment on the part of the AI. So there's no the AI doesn't require any sort of judgment. It's really sort of a binary. As long as the policies are clear, those return flows are pretty straightforward, and the AI can handle like the logic and exception handling quite easily. And this also is revenue protection. So this is again something that when you bring to leadership in sort of this crawl, walk, run change management, it can really sort of like change the hearts and minds of leadership. So good in this case, the AI is generating return labels autonomously, processing exchanges, offering alternatives autonomously. Resolution times drop from 24 hours to under 5 minutes. And then the customer, of course, feels taken care of.
I love it.
We've actually had one Siena customer automate over 40,000 return requests in a single quarter.
Wow.
So you can see like in the, yeah, and that's like I said, that's like a more straightforward workflow. This is one of the earlier workflows that you want to automate. And even with those early workflows in the enterprise, you can still see enormous success, like 40,000 return requests being completely being handled completely autonomously. That's the power of AI that we're seeing in e-commerce.
I love it, man. Cool.
Yeah.
Super fun. I appreciate kind of the tactical advice and also big picture on how you're kind of seeing the space and the Shopify outage. Wow, that was crazy. Bad timing, but you do it. If someone wants to get in touch with you, man, continue the conversation, learn a little more about Siena, what's the best way to do that?
Yeah, they can. You can book a demo on our site, of course, if that's a shameless plug. But if you have any, if you have any questions about AI or change management, we have a lot of partners in our ecosystem that can help you to work through this alongside of our team, of course. And we'd be happy to make those introductions. And of course, if you have any questions about
sorry, that's an important one. Is that part, would they find that on your website or where do they learn? Because I know a lot of them are looking for some best practice. Is that kind of a partner section on the site? Or
yeah, we'll have that up on the site in the next 6 to 8 weeks. But if you want to just email me in the meantime, it's michael@siena.cx. I'm happy to point you in the direction of some of the folks in our ecosystem who, number one, know the technology very well, and number two, have worked with folks in your industry to work through this change management, regardless of the stage of your sort of maturity with AI or inside of your CX org. We have partners that can help you sort of work through that.
I love it. Cool, man. All righty. Well, again, appreciate the time for the audience. Have a fantastic day.
Thank you.